to go through each of you guys and just have you talk so I can turn you up or turn you down. Why don't we start with Paul? Why don't you give me a quick, hello, and you know what? This is how we'll introduce our characters. Paul, introduce your character. Maybe not description, but kind of your name and where you come from, you know?
Alrighty. My name is Izod, and honestly, I forgot where I'm from. It's nearby-ish.
That makes sense. All right. Chris, go ahead.
My name is Belzaren. I am currently living inside Dowerdald in the Wandering Walrus Inn.
All right. Ryan, why don't you go?
Okay, my name's Ravi, and I'm also staying in the Wandering Walrus Inn.
And last but not least, Tyler, go right ahead.
My name is ArZaroth, and I am staying in the inn.
All right. Sweet. There we go. All right. Audio levels are good. I'm not messing with it because I know once I start, it's going to be a mess. So let me continue with where I left off here. You guys are beginning in the realm of Zamrith on the third era. Basically, this is a new era. You're starting basically your lives in this era after something that was called the Black Rose War. The Black Rose War at the end of the second era actually ended up tearing the world's politics and societies apart in a way where in the end the only thing that could bring it all together was one leadership. So, being that you guys are in one of the three regions under the Cicatrellian Empire, you guys are starting off in the region of Terrace on the continent of Uni Tamid. Each of you, being that some of you are from different places far away, you're coming from off-continent. Dowerdald, from what you guys have learned in the time that you've been living here, is a final resting place for adventurers, basically, or just people trying to get away. It is not a place where it was not built up by someone who wanted to lead a colony or build a settlement. It was built by ancient adventurers who wanted to get away from whatever government they were under at the time. To quickly understand how Dowerdald works. Dowerdald is still a fresh village. Wooden homes, not many two-story places. The only two-story place would be the Wandering Walrus Inn, where you guys, well, the majority of you guys reside right now, actually as permanent residents. Being that each of you kind of live in the inn as permanent residents, you kind of have seen each other off and on for however long you've been in Dowerdald. Each of you are currently also paying 2 copper a month for this. And to quickly explain how my world works with currency, gold is not a front-running currency. So if you have gold on your character, I would suggest running it back to copper. Copper is the running currency of this game. The reason why I do that is because I feel that gold is, the best way to put it, a rich man's fancy. You know, if you're going to go treasure hunting, you're looking for gold. You're not looking for copper. So your currency is copper, and most places that you go to buy things or trade is all built in trading or copper. Dowerdald, for one, is a trading community. It is not a place where you spend copper. It's the only place you spend copper in Dowerdald is at the Wandering Walrus Inn. The other big thing I would like you all to understand is that only 4 months ago, your new mayor has come to power. Nothing strange about it. It was a normal transition of power in this place. You guys all know him as Mayor Undernoom, or Mayor Stillbriar, which is his last name. You also are starting this game off in the center of winter. The winter is going to be coming to a close in just a couple months, but as of right now, this colony has been kind of closed off to outside society. The other thing to keep in mind is most people here kind of keep to themselves and do their own things. As I said, it's a final resting place for adventurers and people trying to get away. So they're just trying to live their lives without anybody bothering them. And the mayor doesn't overstep his bounds. He lets people live as long as they're orderly and they are staying away from causing some kind of havoc that will be needing of the guards to step in. Now, the mayor himself is a old adventurer. That's kind of how the politics work here. The elder adventurer kind of takes up leads on running this colony, as well as the guards are all past militia, military, just kind of old guard, you know. Though, the other thing to keep in mind is, being that you guys are all living in Dourdald, you don't know much of the land you stand on. You guys have kind of been, the best way, keeping to yourselves so that you don't mess with anything outside. Those of you who are looking for something in particular, though, have not gone too far. You guys have made it a good distance, but the farthest you've probably gone is the farmland in the Terrace Wilderness, and that is only about a 3-day walk. The borders between the two regions that connect to Terrace have kind of been closed. You kind of have to pay to leave. It's a toll. And 90% of the time, most adventurers who leave Dourdald, since they're retiring in Dourdald, don't tend to leave the area that Dourdald is in. So, now that we are kind of set on history and understanding where we are as a group, I will say that if you'd like to know any other history, you may ask me at any time. I may have you roll history checks. But today's session will be starting off in the Wandering Walrus Inn. In the early morning, each of you wakes up, and whatever your normal routine is still kind of just what you do. I'm going to start with you in order what you do in the mornings of Dourdald here. I'm going to start in order with Paul. Is it Izod?
Izod, yes.
Izod. What does Izod do in the
Izod.
mornings in Dourdald?
Probably she would do something that would feel refreshing. I was gonna say bathe, but she probably doesn't bathe as often as she should. But she would probably do something to refresh herself, go like splash some water in her face, go eat some food, and then find work. That's her mission at this moment, is listening for certain tellings or hearings of something and finding work. Is her only
Okay.
doings right now.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of get up, you head down the stairs, because all of your rooms are positioned on the second floor in the Wandering Walrus. Being that you're kind of a loner, my question to you is, would you have kind of paid them a little extra to take the second bed out of your room, or would you have kind of pushed the two beds together of the room for you to sleep in?
That's a great question. I think she would have paid extra. To get rid of it.
Okay, so you have lived here for how long, would you say?
I've definitely lived here for about 2 years.
2 years. Okay, so you've kind of made this room your own. Have you decorated it? Have you done anything with it?
No,
No.
not all.
Okay. So
Basically looks like when I came here.
okay. So all right. So would you have you went downstairs? Would you have eaten? What would you eat in the morning? That's the question I would ask you.
Something that would sustain, like I don't know per se what they're serving,
Okay.
or what is an option, but something that would sustain for a heavy lifting kind of hard day's work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. So, being that you all live in the Wandering Walrus, you guys would know the inn's owner. His name is Miscus Greyride. He's an older gentleman. He's kind of stern, but being that he understands that 3 of his 6 rooms are taken up by permanent residents, he seems kind of annoyed with you, but not to the point where he's like, I hate you. You know, he's one of those guys you kind of earn his respect, even though he just runs an inn. You know, he's just one of those men. But he's a tall, standing man with a long white beard. Instantly, when you come downstairs, people have kind of gotten used to what you look like. Would you like to explain what you look like?
So her skin is this night black color. Well, first off, actually, she's a tiefling. She has this night black skin, this very dark black hair. She has horns that, as they go back, they actually split so that some curve up and then the other half curves back down. So it looks like she has like 4 horns. It's only 2. They've just split. And she has, it's interesting to watch her walk, particularly downstairs, as her knees are backwards. They're almost like a goat's knee. So when she's walking downstairs, it looks a little awkward, but she seems confident and knows how to do it. but it looks weird.
Okay. Yeah, so at this time, you've been here for 2 years. People, when they first came into town, or when they usually, when they're settling in or they're just at the bar, the drunk men and women that tend to stay here late into the night, they tend to assume they're just so drunk that they're seeing something. Others, though, who actually live in this town have gotten used to you. You've kind of become this hush-hush, like, we're going to talk behind your back kind of thing, because people don't really know how to take your kind. I mean, in the Second Era, the Black Rose War that ended the Second Era basically was a war of devils, fiends, and demons coming from hell and attacking citizens of all the other races. So, being that you're a tiefling, you're kind of a remembrance of some of the loved ones that they lost and some of the pain that they still feel today from the cities that are being rebuilt. Though, being that you pay Miscus, he will never, ever judge you for who you are. You're giving him money, and he knows once he judges you, he has a fear that you'll stop paying him money. He doesn't say much to you often. He tends to just bow his head to you. And wherever you sit within the tavern, he brings over to you a big platter of kind of just a side salad in the morning with bread, basically. It's just bread is your meal here. Being that it is winter, in a couple of hours they will have some kind of hot soup. Tends to be pheasant soup. He doesn't make you pay for breakfast, but he does make you pay for dinner and lunch. That's just kind of his extra deal with you for the for you living there. I'd also have to assume that being that you're a permanent resident, if he were to ask you to maybe like wipe down a table or something, you'd probably end up doing it for him, right?
Yeah.
So, Okay.
I'm not unused to doing a hard day's work, so that would be reasonable, I think.
Okay. Would you be awake before the sun comes up? That's the first. That's what.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
So you and him get up around the same time, just before dawn. It's about an hour until sunrise. If you would like to do something within this hour other than eat, you can.
I would say if there's a moment in between the sun coming up and we can just find her way back to her room briefly, she would stop and pray for a short time.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
Just
So-
simple prayer.
We'll say since you've been here for about 2 years too, when you're up this early in the morning, you kind of earn your own seat in this tavern, because also, if you want to be off to the side on your own, you're the early morning, you're the early bird, right? You're going to get the worm first. So you can get up, you get to a certain seat, and we'll say that your prayer ritual, that small prayer ritual, will tend to happen in the corner table. That's another reason why Miscus doesn't tend to say things to you. He drops off your food, he drops off, he'll probably drop off a water to you. He's not really sure if that'll hurt you, being that he doesn't know how devils and fiends work. He doesn't put it down in kind of an effort to be rude. He does it to kind of, I'm not sure what you drink, so here's what we drink, and if it doesn't work on you, don't drink it. It's kind of one of those things. Water is also free.
She never
so-
informs him.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
never informs him of anything otherwise. So,
Okay. All right. So within that hour, you pray to your deity, and down the stairs comes Belzaren. Belzaren, you awaken. You also are permanent residents in this tavern. The question I have for you is, would you have also paid a little extra to get the extra furniture out of the room?
No, I probably would have just
Kinda
tried to
just
push
done
it together. Doesn't
Okay.
really.
All right. What's your
Don't need
morning?
to pay the extra.
Yeah. What's your morning routine, Belzaren?
He'll wake up not nearly as early as Izod.
Yeah.
Or Izod, however you say it.
Izod. Yep.
Izod. Okay. Not nearly as early as her. He's gonna come down kind of mid-morning probably. He had a good night's rest. Maybe he was up late the night before. But he's coming down. He's gonna eat something, and then probably head off to, if there's like a library or anything like that in town, probably head over there just to kind of do a little research about something, like, trying to think of how to explain this. Just research about any kind of magic, where things go when they disappear.
Okay. So you come downstairs. You pass the tiefling. What do you look like, Belzaren?
I am a half-elf. He looks mostly human. He's average height, Doesn't
Okay.
honestly doesn't look all that different from the humans in town, except for the pointy ears. You know.
20 years. Yeah. Okay. What does he wear? What kind of clothing do you have on you?
No
Noticeable.
armor to speak of.
Okay.
Kind of just regular clothing, like some leather, maybe.
Okay. It is also winter time, so if any of you put on extra like layers, that's just another thing to keep in mind as well. For this game, I will be having you guys keep track of your material components that you'll be using for your spells, your eating schedule, and I will also be making sure that you guys are paying attention. You know what? I take that back. I was gonna say to wait, but weight's just really dumb, so I'm not gonna make you pay attention to your weight of what you can carry. You won't be able to pick up a cow in one pull unless you really can do that. But I will not worry about weight. Though, you wander downstairs, and I'm gonna say usually every morning you have the same kind of wake up schedule. It's not too early, like you were saying. You usually have a coffee, like a disgusting brewed coffee, waiting for you on the end of the bar. It's always steaming though, and a loaf of bread also sitting on a plate. Being that you do enjoy researching, do you do this often? Do you go out to go research often?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay, so you'll pick up this cup of joe and this loaf of bread, and then you'll head out. Now, in this town, there isn't a library. This is a very, like I said at the beginning, a new settlement, right? Though, there is a person in town that would allow you in her hut. In most small settlements of this region in Unitamid there are oracles or town soothsayers that'll predict the future or predict some oncoming foreshadow to you. And she's probably got the biggest library in town, and it's mainly about the dark, magics of the world. She doesn't tend to have a lot of information on, normal everyday, magical items and stuff. It's gotta be I'm studying one of the hells, or I'm studying a plane. She's very out there. A lot of her stuff is actually considered fiction because people aren't sure if it's proven to be true, but she writes a lot of her books. You would know her as Miss Years. She spells it she's Yeirs. She spells her name in a really weird way. So if you need me to respell that for you, you can, if you're taking notes, which is fine. But she kind of minds her own when you enter her little hut. She sits off in a corner table, reading, writing, and doing her own thing while you study. She doesn't tend to enjoy people coming in and talking to her, though. So, how long have you lived in Dowerdald?
A little over a year at this point, I would say.
Okay. All right, so a little over a year, you would know this. One time you tried to speak to her early in the morning, and she kind of gave you a look like, if you talk to me again, I'll never allow you back in my library. One of those, really, really, really pissed off. I'm not a good morning riser. Don't talk to me in the morning.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, so she'll keep staring away from you. Though, are you gonna spend your morning just studying in here?
For now, yeah. If anything were to happen, then I would probably go and take a look, at least, but...
Okay. Is there anything in particular you're looking for at this moment?
Right now, I'm looking for what might happen to someone if they were to be sent away.
Okay. So, in what way do you mean that? I have to ask, because there's plenty of ways you could have meant that, but I need to know in what way you mean that.
Not death, just kind of sucked away somewhere else.
Okay.
That's really all I know about what happened.
Why don't you... Okay. Why don't you roll me... Let's do an Arcana check.
The first roll.
As the first roll of our campaign.
No pressure.
12.
Okay. So, being that it's kind of hard to tell what you're looking for, right? You're kind of just like,
fair.
I wanna find a way that somebody is just gone, right? That's just
Yeah.
that's kind of your vagueness of what you're looking into. Excuse me. And you find books that Years has written. She kind of writes of planar, like she literally labels books of like study on planar travels, and in these books is a bunch of just random stuff. It looks like she's writing down graphs and numbers, and then on top of that she's writing in 4 different languages, and like you can't really figure out anything from it, but it's the only thing in this entire library that you could find that might signify leaving or disappearing in some way.
Okay.
Of course, you could ask her, but I don't know how you would feel about making the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. She might be a little upset at me. Is it still pretty early in the morning, or is it like a bit later on?
If we were to talk in numbers, it would probably be around 7:30 in the morning right now.
Okay, I'm
Izod
gonna
would
wait
have
a
woken
little
up around
while.
like 4 o'clock. It's like 7 now.
Okay, I'm gonna wait a little while.
Okay.
Not
Alright.
not gonna talk to her just yet.
Alright, so while you study these planar books, we will jump over to the dynamic duo. Gentlemen, Tyler and Ryan, I would like to know, since you guys share a room, what in what way do you guys get up in the morning? Do you get up together? Do you get up separately? How does this work?
Yeah, sometimes I wake up earlier than him. Sometimes he wakes up earlier than me. You know, we're a working crew. We help each other out.
I
We
gotta
give each
wake
other
up and
time.
probably wake up, see if Ravi's awake, see if Tazaro's awake.
Okay.
If either of them are, they'd probably go down, get some breakfast, and then go look for some bounties.
Okay. So what I'll quickly say is Tazaro doesn't sleep in the actual inn. They made a makeshift building for Tazaro in the back of the building. So
Doing them dirty.
is it a he or she?
It's a he.
Okay,
Well,
so
in that
he.
case, then I'll probably bring him breakfast.
Okay, so he sleeps kind of not tied up. They just kind of made a little area for him to chill out in. And how long, Ravi and ArZaroth, is that how do you say?
ArZaroth.
ArZaroth. How do you guys? Well, I was gonna say, we'll start with Ravi. Your morning routine when you wake up. What do you do
Ryan,
in the morning?
It's Ravi, like ravioli.
Ravi, sorry. What do you do?
Alright,
write
so
that
I wake up, probably had like a fat stretch, you know. Maybe check on ArZaroth, see what he's been up to. And probably eat breakfast, you know, just chill out, hang out.
Hang out. Okay. So you're gonna get the same treatment mostly of everybody else. You're gonna get a free breakfast. What do you drink in the morning? Being
Ooh.
a dwarf over here.
Likes that fresh morning ale.
I'll keep it clean. I'll go for coffee.
You
Help
just
me
have a
wake up.
coffee. Okay. I want to remind you guys the coffee in this village is disgusting. It is the most bitter thing you will ever taste, but it's coffee. It wakes you up and it gets you going on your day-to-day tasks. ArZaroth, what do you do in the morning?
Obviously, I wake up. I get out of my meditation, you know.
Yep.
And get up. Probably check on Ravi if he's awake. Then
Yep.
head downstairs. I guess I'll drink some coffee as well.
Okay. And then
And
after
breakfast.
you would go feed
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Feed myself and Tazaro.
Tazaro. Okay. So as a quick explanation, I would like Ravi to go first and please explain what you look like and what you are.
Alrighty. So I'm a dwarf, about average height, 5 foot, maybe 5'1". I have a nice beard, light gray. That's about it.
Okay. Do you have any noticeable, like anything on your clothing, or is it just normal armor that you wear?
Just normal.
Okay. All right. ArZaroth, if I'm trying to pronounce your name right.
That is correct.
What do you look like, sir?
I am a wood elf. I got black hair, copper skin, green eyes. I'm 180 pounds, 6'4", and I'm 248 years old.
Okay, well, that's some description there. So we have our elf and dwarf duo here, which I am very excited to see how this ends up eventually. Being that in this world, elves and dwarves, like most cliches, they don't hate each other, but they don't like each other. It's not like a we're gonna kill each other every time we see each other. It's just more of a, dwarves are disgusting, dirty, under the ground creatures, and elves are these elegant, we're gonna keep ourselves clean at all times creatures. So, being that you two come down together every morning, how long have you two been in Dowerdald, if you were to kind of estimate it? One of you can throw out a number.
I'd say around a year.
A year? About a year? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you guys as well would also know that you have a certain system of waking up, checking on each other, checking on your things. Now, being that you two, I don't want to say it, but being that you two come from where you come from, I would say checking on your things is a normal, everyday thing to do, just in case. Tazaro, outside, will wake up, stretch every morning, and will remain there until you are ready to bring him with you anywhere you'd like to go. Though, after we'll say, as you two come down, you feed Tazaro, you come back in, and you guys kind of enjoy your meal, your breakfast meal in the morning. Miss Tiefling, you will see this dwarf and elf friendship going on across the bar. This is weird even for a tiefling, being that you are ridiculed, probably your race is ridiculed the most of probably any other race in this entire world. This is weird to you, though they're chilling at the bar while you're sitting over in the corner doing your thing. If you'd like to do anything, you may.
How long have they been in town? I think I don't know if you said that. But
About a
I'm
year.
gonna
Yeah,
miss
they
it.
said about a year.
A year. Okay, about a year. Then so normally I wouldn't probably say anything or do anything because that's I'm not a people person per se. I think it's been long enough. I've stared at them long enough that I can now go over and approach, and I would probably just no hesitation, no inhibition, walk up, pull up a chair, and just sit down in front of them.
Okay.
And,
The bartender, of course, is already like, oh, so he kind of steps his way down the bar, being that he's not sure how this is going to go.
And she, good morning.
You need something?
Well, it has been a time. This is strange. I do not understand this. Perhaps. Who are you?
I'm ArZaroth, and this is Ravi.
Hello. My name is Izod. When I say that this is strange, What I really mean is, I am someone who often I get looks. uh, Perhaps you can understand that.
This is very weird to you two. Tiefling kind of, we'll say, where you came from, you saw a lot of tieflings, but they used to get pummeled, like beat up just for fun. So this tiefling coming up to you and introducing herself and kind of being this on top of you would make both of you incredibly unsettled. Like this is not a good. This is a red flag on you guys' book here.
So, understanding that I am in a unique position, I am interested to understand how you came to be in this position.
I don't think we need to explain ourselves to you, pal.
You are correct. You do not need to explain. However, I was being friendly.
You kind of gave him a bit of an attitude. You know, you just come in, sit down. We don't really know you. We've probably seen you around.
Just trying to have a breakfast, man.
This is fair.
Is there any reason you came to chat with us? Like, besides just asking us what we're doing, I guess?
I find you strange, and when I find something strange, it is strange.
All that coming from a tiefling.
Thank you.
Aw.
So, do you have business in town?
Not particularly. We're just here, do some jobs. Huh.
Do
Not
some
really sure what we're
jobs,
doing.
make a bit of money, move on.
Much like most of us.
At this moment, the tavern owner, Miscus, he kind of wanders his way over and he's like, will any of you be needing anything else before I retire to my study area for the next hour?
What's his name?
His name is Miscus.
I'm all set, Miscus, thank you.
He bows his head to you. He looks to the dwarf. Looks down to the dwarf.
I'm also all set. Thank you, Mr. Sir.
He bows his head, and then, of course, to the tiefling. He doesn't look you in the eye.
Not
Hey.
surprising. I think I forgot to say, she has these golden eyes that are just like bright lights.
Yeah.
It's like having a flashlight on you.
He will
She
not.
doesn't say anything. She just nods like no.
Okay. In this time, Belzaren, would you come back to the tavern at any point after your studies?
I might come back around lunchtime just to eat something.
There's a bit of time left. So when Miscus kind of stands up, he wanders his way to the area, the back room of this tavern, where you can all assume he's staying. Quickly, a very large Goliath in the corner who has been kind of keeping to himself all morning. He wasn't really noticeable as he's been really, really quiet, and the area he's sitting in is actually surprisingly darker than the rest of the room. He gets up, and you guys can hear the loud clatter of his metal armor as he wanders up to the tiefling. And he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he's basically like, "Who let your kind in here?" There you go. Sorry.
She says, I see you have no manners, friend.
Why would I give manners to a creature that almost destroyed my home?
Interesting. I don't recall being near your home.
My home being this entire realm.
Ah. I see. And you're offended by one. She'll
this moment-
stand, and she doesn't look at him. There's no way she's looking him in the
Yep.
eye. But I think I'm like 5'6".
So you're going face to face with
Um,
him? Kind of like looking up
Oh,
at him?
I was gonna say, there's no way that she
Yeah, yeah,
can.
yeah.
But like, she stands and she's looking at him like without hesitation. She's ready if something's gonna happen.
So clearly, immediately when you turn around, you can see this man is decked out in plate armor. He's old though. He is not a young Goliath. He is a scarred up old Goliath with barely any hair on his head. He looks down to you, and you can notice clearly that his eyes are actually starting to fog over. But he knows you're here, so he can still see a bit. You can continue though. That's kind of it's a quick startle when you see him.
Mm-hmm. I think she's just trying to look at him and let him know I'm not going to back down.
Okay. Ravi and ArZaroth, what are you guys thinking? I understand that you've seen this happen millions of times, but this is happening right next to you. I mean, this tiefling wandered her way, up and was up in your business, and now is about to get into a fight right next to one of you.
I
both of
am
you.
going to grab my food and go feed to Zara. I'm just gonna leave.
So
Just
the
gonna
elf
leave.
quickly gets up and just walks out. Doesn't even look back. What
I
about
ain't got time
what
for this
about
bullshit.
Ravi? What does Ravi do?
Well, front, I'm just thinking to myself, Tiefling's incredibly brave. Just standing around ground in front of a Titan. I'm gonna follow suit with ArZaroth. I don't want any trouble at the exact moment.
So you also get up and just walk your way out of the tavern. Okay. Everybody then follows suit. There are small stragglers in the room, 3 or 4 other people. They all get up and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go. We had our breakfast." So they also wander out. We have to remember, a lot of people don't know how tieflings work, so they also assume you can just destroy entire buildings if you wanted to. So you are put
I do not
forward-
tell them otherwise.
Yeah, you are put forward more so you seem like you'd be more powerful than you actually are. But he ain't backing down. He actually starts to put his hand on his great sword that's on his side because of how large he is. And he just stares at you, and he basically is just like, "I think you belong in another town, tiefling."
Question for the DM.
Yes.
Realizing that I'm sitting in a tavern, how likely is it that I have any of my weapons on me?
Well, that's a question I will have to ask you another question to follow up. Would you have brought them down with you at 4 a.m.?
Probably not. There's no way that I would have been prepared for that. I'm not expecting trouble.
Right.
Probably, at least not this early. We haven't even hit noon yet.
Right. It is only 9 in the morning currently. So
So yeah, I probably don't have it, but I will try on some level to knowing what he thinks of me. My first instinct is going to be to say something like, "Are you sure you want to do that, friend?"